Peace and love, y'all. I'm Kiba, and I have been living in Mexico for almost 3 years. And if you are considering relocating to Mexico, you may be wondering if it's still safe and if it's still affordable in 2026, especially with a lot of things that have been in the media in recent times pertaining to Mexico. So I live in Merida. I have been here for almost 3 years. And in this video, I'm gonna just share what my experience has been like, because I know relocating from the United States is something that is a priority and just top of mind for many people, especially after the kind of year 2025 was. I think a lot of things transpired in 2025 that kind of made people say, you know what, I think it's time for me to try something different. And it's just so much proof now with the quality of life you can have living outside of the United States. But before we get into what the experience in Mexico has been like, I do briefly just want to talk about 2025 in general, because it was a hell of a year, to say the least. Definitely a year for the books, in my opinion. It was, for myself and many people I know, a very dark, challenging, transformative year. A lot of letting go, releasing deep inner work. It was a hard year. It was definitely a hard year. The serpent energy of 2025 was no joke. I know for myself, I was in one of the biggest inner battles I have ever been in within myself. I like to think about our human experience from the perspective of a wave or like a mountain range, where you have peaks, but you also have valleys. And 2025, I was definitely in the valleys. I was in them trenches. I was in the Mariana Trench. Just, woo, it was a lot. It was a lot, but I'm here. Everybody else who had a kind of dark, challenging year, you were one of those people. We made it. We're here. The energy is totally different too, from my perspective anyway. And if you're wondering why I'm talking about 2025 as if the new year just started, this is because I celebrate the new year during the spring equinox, and that just happened on the 20th. This is a time where many ancient civilizations and indigenous cultures around the world have celebrated and acknowledged the new year for ages. And, coming from the United States, we were programmed to believe in the Gregorian calendar, celebrating the new year in January, setting resolutions in January. But when you kind of think deeper into that and just zoom out and see it from a different perspective, us celebrating the new year and setting resolutions in the dead of winter, when everything in nature is going at a slow pace, many things in nature are dead, in hibernation, it puts us out of alignment with our natural divine flow. And that wasn't done by mistake. You can look deeper into that if you desire to. So what tends to happen by us being programmed to kind of believe in the new year and celebrate the new year in January is most people fall off of their resolutions. By the end of January, by February, they have completely fallen off. And most people don't get back into the swing of feeling inspired to act on their goals until the springtime. And spring is all about rebirth, renewal. Things in nature are coming back to life. Everything is moving at a faster pace. The days are getting longer. The temperature is getting warmer. And you just naturally feel inspired to take action. So if you have ever been in that loop of setting resolutions in January and falling off, don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up. This is the time to get into expansion and taking action. So this is why we're talking about the new year. We're talking about 2025 right now, because this is definitely it's definitely a tremendous shift in the energy versus what 2025 felt like and what we're feeling right now, 2026. But anywho, let's get back to Mexico. So I've been here for 3 years, and I just want to give you guys some insight as to what my experience has been like living where I live in Merida. And just to keep your mind open in the event that you have kind of been influenced or have had some seeds of fear or doubt planted in your mind about Mexico because of the things that were recently in the media. So we're going to sit down, talk about it. I'm going to share some tips if you are thinking about moving here, and just what life, day-to-day life is really like, living in this particular part of Mexico. So I moved here in 2023, and for me, it was a spiritual move. Literally, it was just me following my intuition. I'm someone who, I come from Georgia, Riverdale, Georgia, to be exact. And prior to moving here, I was living in Decatur, Georgia, and I was really enjoying my life. I had a beautiful life, beautiful home. My businesses were thriving. So I wasn't someone who was like actively thinking about moving from the States. Like, I have always loved to travel. I have been to many countries, different continents. I have traveled all over the world. And my mindset was always like, I'll live in the States, but I'll probably own properties around the world. But I wasn't really thinking about moving. And so that changed back in 2022. I was actually on vacation in Tulum, January of 2022, and I was on the beach with my friend who came with me, and we were just having a good time, good vibes. The weather was beautiful. I got some good tree in the air. We just vibing out on the beach. And I remember just saying to my friend, like, I think I'm supposed to live here. Like, I'm supposed to move here. And it was just this very strong and clear knowing that I got that day on the beach that Mexico was my home. And I had never felt that before. Of all the places I've ever traveled to, I had never felt the feeling I felt that day on the beach in Tulum. So that's how the whole entire journey with me relocating and moving abroad started. So on that same vacation, the following day, me and my friend went to visit the Tulum ruins. And we had went through the ruins, and we were at the beach waiting for the second part of our excursion, which we were getting on a boat. We were going to go see the backside of the ruins from the water. It was like snorkeling, a whole thing. So I'm sitting on the beach just waiting. We're waiting for our boat, and this local guy, he was very friendly. He just started a conversation with me. We started talking. He ended up telling me that he was a real estate developer. So I started asking him questions about, the process with a foreigner buying property, buying a home, like how the whole process kind of works. And he said, if I were you, if you're serious about moving here, I wouldn't, because I was asking him about moving to Tulum because that's where I was at, right? And so he was like, I would not recommend moving to Tulum. He gave me a whole list of reasons as to why. One of the main being that he's like, Tulum is very expensive. The time to buy property in Tulum was like 20 years ago. So, and he gave me a lot of other reasons as well. And he said, if you're really serious about moving here, I would consider Merida. And at that time, I had never heard of Merida. And a lot of people do call it Merida or Merida, but it's Merida. So that's what I'm saying. My pronunciation may not be the best. I'm still in the process of learning Spanish. But basically, he planted the seed of Merida in my mind. And when I got back home from that vacation, I started doing my research. Looked into Merida, and truth be told, upon my first Google search, I was not impressed. I was like, no, Merida was not giving the vibe I felt I desired if I was going to move to Mexico. I'm like, I need to be on the water. I need to be in a villa where I could see the beach. I was thinking Tulum vibes in my mind. Like, if I'm going to move to Mexico, I need the vibe to be like that. And Merida was just not giving that. So I was just like, I started looking at other parts of Mexico, and when I say, for one, Mexico chose me, and Merida specifically chose me, because that was the feeling of it. It was like this vortex that I just started to get summoned into. And I know now in hindsight why that happened, but just for now, it's like I started researching other parts of Mexico. And prior to this, y'all, I had never watched any content about moving to Mexico, about living in Mexico. I had never sought out any content ever on any social media platform about Mexico. But when I tell y'all the way every single one of my feeds, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, everything, it seemed like it happened overnight, where it was just nothing but content about people, not even people, black people moving to Merida. And I know that source communicates always and in all ways, so I know that wasn't coincidental. So it was like, okay, Merida was just everywhere I looked. It was there. Like, so of course now, once I kind of got that, I'm like, I started intentionally doing research about Merida. I started joining Facebook groups. I started intentionally watching content about Black people that were living in Merida. I started just doing my research about it, learned what I needed to learn. I was in Facebook groups, getting a lot of my questions answered. A really good Facebook group that I was in that was very helpful for me at the time was the Brothers and Sisters of Merida. That was a really informative group for me. So what I ended up doing was, after doing my research and being like, okay, what kind of sealed the deal for me was, how your phone will show you flashback memories? This was a Snapchat flashback memory that I got on my phone. And it was from a cruise that I had taken in 2018. And the picture, the little, how the location supposed to be on your picture, it said Yucatan. So I'm like, oh, I've been to Yucatan before. And I was on the beach in this picture. And so I'm like, well, Merida is in Yucatan, because Yucatan is the state. Merida is the biggest city and the capital of Yucatan. So I was like, okay, the beach that I was on in that picture, it wasn't the best beach I had ever seen, especially in Mexico, because Mexico has some really beautiful beaches, but it was nice enough. So I got online and Googled, like, how far is Progreso, which is like a major port for cruises, from Merida? And I'm like, once I found out it was only 30 minutes away, that was when I was like, okay. I started really taking in, like, more confidently the idea of moving to Merida. So that same year, 2022, later on in the year, I planned like an exploration trip just to come to Merida for a week to see what the vibes were, to just make sure I was really aligned with it. So planned that trip, September of 2022. I ended up bringing my son with me when I came back. My son is grown, by the way, and he had already let me know, like, Mom, if you moving to Mexico, I'll come visit, but my son he's his own being. He's entrepreneurial. He's an artist. He's like, I got my own things going on here. I don't think I'm ready to make a move like that, but I'll come visit you. And so I wanted my son to come with me too, just to see if this is where I'm going to be moving. I wanted him to catch the vibe of what it was going to be like as well. So we came to Merida. We had a beautiful Airbnb in Centro. We stayed for a week. We got out. We did excursions, but we just got out, went around. I even one day went out by myself. Like, I had to really be able to feel what this is going to be like for me. And when I say just within like the first couple of days of that trip, I felt so comfortable. Like, it literally felt like home for me. And I was just like 100% sure, like, yep, this is what I'm going to do. So I got back to Decatur and, I started putting my plan in motion. I set a date for myself, which was June of the following year. I was living in a 4-bedroom home, decided to just I let my son take everything he wanted to take, because he was going to be moving into his own apartment. So all of the furniture, house stuff he wanted to take, I let him take that. And whatever was left, I donated, sold, and gave away. And I moved here by myself June 1st of 2024 with just 4 suitcases. So it has been a very beautiful and divine experience for me. It has been amazing. Everything with my move here was very smooth. It was just real simple, and like I said before, I really just got here from following my intuition. I'm a firm believer in that. Wherever I'm being divinely guided, I'm going. So what I want to do next is just kind of give you guys a glimpse into what, day-to-day life looks like here, because it is here. The vibe in Merida is very slow, very simple. It's a much slower pace than living in the U.S. So I just kind of want to give you guys a glimpse, because when you move to a different country, it's like you're not on vacation, so every day is not going to look like excursions and vacation type activities. It's like you're going to do that stuff, of course, but you're living a regular life. So you're going to find a routine for yourself. You're going to just really, for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, be doing real simple stuff. So I just want to give you guys a glimpse into what that looks like, because it seems like the movement with people desiring to relocate from the States is just getting bigger and bigger every day. Like, I think people are just at a point where They are sick and tired of grind culture, sick and tired of the never-ending rat race of just having to just be so focused on working and making more money. I feel like the cost of living too has just gotten to a point where even if you make quote unquote money, it's still like it's like unsustainable, truth be told, for a lot of people to have the quality of life that they desire and deserve to have. And I think people just want more peace. People want a slower and more aligned life. And, I just want to kind of give you guys a look into what a regular day in my life looks like. And then we're going to come back and kind of like just chit chat, because I do have some tips I want to share with you all if you are considering moving to Merida, to a different part of Mexico, or even to a different country altogether. A lot of these things will still apply. On my daily walk, and just look at how beautiful this is. I'm so grateful, just so grateful for this life that I have created and manifested for myself. Like, for me, yeah, this is heaven on earth, right here, right now. I just feel a lot of gratitude. And this is what I love about taking my daily walks, is I just clear my mind, and it just really puts me in a state of gratefulness, thankfulness, and it's just so beautiful. It's still times when I pinch myself like, yeah, I'm just walking through my neighborhood in Mexico. I'm about to walk in OXXO to make a deposit to pay my electricity bill. I'm gonna just walk through here. This is just like a convenience store. It's the most popular convenience store here. All right, now that is all done. Now I'm gonna go home, get dressed, and I'm gonna be meeting a friend at one of my favorite vegan restaurants in a little bit. Okay, so as you guys can see, you know, life here is real simple, real slow. And I do apologize if you guys can hear something in the background. There's some construction going on and somebody doing like some type of lawn work, like a weed whacker or something. So I do apologize. But you know, overall, living soft and slow is the motto here, and something that I do love about my time here is the way I have been able to slow my pace down. Prior to moving here, I was definitely like, I'm just like overly ambitious and was definitely just operating at a capacity that's crazy when I think about it in hindsight. Like I was so used to just going hard. I didn't even really realize I was like on the verge of burnout. So of course, being here, slowing down, just being able to regulate my nervous system and go at more of a divine pace is just something that I absolutely love. And later in the video, I'm actually going to share something about moving here that I did not predict or foresee. So yeah, we're going to get into that later. But for now, I do have a list. So if you see me looking over, I do have my computer right here because I want to make sure I'm very thorough and that I don't miss anything. So I have a list, and it's not like in any type of particular order, just some things that I feel are very important if you're considering moving to Merida, a different part of Mexico, or even somewhere else, you know, around the world. So I think let's first just get into getting your visa and like what the requirements for residency look like for here. So for myself, I knew that moving here was going to be a long-term thing. I knew that even if Mexico wasn't my end-all be-all, that I was permanently leaving the United States. So I knew I wasn't just coming here for like a couple of months and then I was going to be going back. So I took the long-term visa route to begin with. And this was a process that I started in the States, in Atlanta. There was a consulate, a Mexican consulate, like 20 minutes from my house. So it worked out really good. And I did work with an immigration lawyer that I found out about in the Facebook group, the Brothers and Sisters of Merida. So it is a process you can do on your own. And I did attempt to go through my residency process, or visa process, I should say, on my own. But it was a little bit overwhelming for me, and I wanted to just make sure I didn't make any mistakes. So once I found out about this lawyer, her name is Valeria. And if you are considering moving to Merida, I'll put her information in the description box. But I reached out to her. She responded to me immediately, was able to get me an appointment to start the process immediately. She gave me a list of everything that I needed. And when you go to your visa appointment at the consulate in whatever city you end up going to, because this is a process you have to start in the United States. The main thing they're looking for is your income. They want to make sure your background is good and that you have a verifiable way for them to make sure you can sustain yourself income-wise. So back in 2023, I think the income requirement was like $4,000 or something. I'm not sure what it is now. But they wanted to see things like bank statements, check stubs, and things like that. And they do verify everything. So say my appointment was like at 10 a.m. You go to the first part of your appointment, and then they give you a time to come back later that same day. And that's when they let you know whether you are approved or not. So say my appointment was at 10. They told me to come back at 2 p.m. And once I came back, that was when they said, you know, you're approved. They put the first part of your visa in your passport. It does take up a full passport page. And so once you get to Mexico, this is when you finalize that process and you have to go to immigration here. So the lawyer I worked with when I got to Mexico, because you have to finalize your temporary visa within the first 30 days of you coming. So when I got here, she literally came to my house, picked up all of the documentation she needed to get my appointment at immigration here in Merida. And back in 2023, I don't know what it's looking like now. The immigration lines used to be crazy, to where you could be in line for hours and hours. So the day of my appointment, she went and stood in line early and then called me when she got to the front and was like, you can go ahead and come and head on up here. So went through the process there. It was very, very straightforward, simple. And that's where they kind of give you like your actual temporary visa card. It's hard plastic, like a license. and it's good for 1 year. The good thing about here in Mexico is when you first get your temporary visa, you can only do up to a year. But when you go back the next year to renew, you can extend it to where you can get up to a 4-year temporary visa. And here, once you have been on a temporary visa for a total of 5 years, you become a permanent resident. And you don't have to go through any more visa processes, no more applications. It's all done. So that is why I say Mexico is one of the simpler places for you to get like real long-term permanent residency. So that's the process I went through. The lawyer, I feel like she was worth every dime. Her service was amazing. And then she'll even take you through the process when it's time for you to renew as well. So she was really great. So after that, I think living expenses is one of the most important things to cover, and we'll start with housing. So finding housing here is very simple. It's very straightforward. I feel like Facebook Marketplace is one of the best places for you to find housing. Houses are available for rent in large amounts. Like, it's not hard to find a house. They do go really fast. So say you're looking to move in 6 months. Trust me, if you see something right now, it's not going to be available in 6 months. Like, houses here go quick, but they become available quick as well. I definitely recommend not paying anything until you have actually seen a property in person, or if you have somebody already here who can go look at it for you, send you pictures, send you videos. So in terms of what it costs to rent, because I am renting, so I'm only speaking from that perspective, you have 3 different options for housing. You can get a fully furnished house where it's going to be turnkey. It's going to have everything that you need: pots, pans, linens, couch, beds, all of that. You can also get a semi-furnished house where it will have some of the basics, but it's not going to be turnkey. So you may have a couch or a dining table or, you know, a dresser or bed frames, but it's not going to have everything. And then you have unfurnished, where it's just bare bones. There's nothing in the house. And a lot of times unfurnished homes don't even have a refrigerator or a stove. It's like, it's nothing in there. So of course, a fully furnished house is going to rent for more than a semi or an unfurnished house. I have been living in the same house since I moved here. It's the only house I've lived in, and I do live in a fully furnished house. The thing with a fully furnished house is that it may not be 100% your taste in furniture. For me, my house was doable. It was like, the vibe is good enough. Of course, if this was a house that I fully furnished myself, it would look different, but I wasn't mad at it, you know. And one thing that was very important for me was that the beds, like mattresses, it was brand new. So that was really important for me. But some people who know that they're going to be here either permanently or for a very long time, they will come here with all of their furniture, like either getting it shipped, or they'll drive it in or use like a moving company to move it in for them. So when it comes to like what you're expected to pay up front, here there is no rental history. They not checking no credit. Is none of that. Do you have the money? That's all it comes down to. So normally it's like 2 months of rent and a deposit, and sometimes it's other admin fees all due up front. So you can expect to pay a couple of $1,000s up front to secure your place. And there is housing for every budget. If you are wanting to get something on the more affordable side, where you are only circulating a couple of $100s a month, that's available. If you want something on the luxury side, that's available. If you want something in between, that's available. So you have apartments, you have houses, you have condos. It's some of everything here. You have more modern homes, you have older homes. So it's something here for everybody and for every budget. When it comes to renting, a lot of times utilities are included. For me, all of my utilities are included except for electricity and gas. So my Wi-Fi, my water, those are included in the rent. But most of the time, you're going to be responsible for your gas and for your electricity. Or if everything is included, you're definitely going to be paying a much higher cost for rent per month. So electricity is normally the most expensive utility bill here, especially for a lot of people moving here from the States during the summer months. Most people are shocked by like that first electricity bill. It can be, for some people, the electricity bill is more than the rent. It can be several $100s. And we are billed every 2 months here. So it's no central AC. So houses here have air conditioning units. I live in a smaller home. I have 3 units in my house though. I have one like in my dining room area, and I have one in each bedroom in my house. And my neighbors kind of gave me some tips when I first moved here to make sure my bill wasn't outrageous. They were like, always cut your units off when you leave the house. Even if you're just leaving for a little bit, cut them off. And you don't need to have every unit running all day. So for me, whichever room I'm in, that's where the unit is going to be on at. If I'm in my dining room or living room or in the kitchen, the unit out here is going to be on. I don't need to have the units in the bedroom on. And the units do cool down in space very fast. So like if I'm in my room relaxing during the summer, I may only need to have my unit on for an hour or two, and then I can turn it off and my room will still stay cool as long as I keep the windows and the door shut. So if you are though running your units all day on the lowest temperature, your electricity bill can be $500-$600 for sure during the summer months. Now it does cool down during the fall and winter. For me, around like November, even really end of October through like February, I really don't use my units. And that's why the bill that you guys saw in those clips I shared was like 700 and some pesos, which is like 40 something dollars. That was for 2 months, because that was like January and February, I believe, or February. It was the cooler months. It was reflecting that. So I'm barely turning my units on during those cooler months. But yeah, when it comes to gas, for me, my house is electric, but my stove is gas. So it's a propane tank outside. I have a neighbor who I pay to basically go take my tank and fill it up for me. And mine's lasts for 3 to 4 months. I only have to refill it like every 3 to 4 months. I do cook, but not a whole lot. So if your stove is gas, the amount that you need to get it filled is going to really be determined by how often are you cooking. And the one thing about the gas is that when it goes out, it's no warning. You could be midway through cooking something and that gas will go out. So you definitely kind of want to keep in mind, just have you a good timeline in terms of making sure you stay on top of getting it refilled. But yeah, it's very easy to secure housing here. And more than anything, you just need to have what you need up front in terms of your fees. So next, let's talk about food, because when considering moving to a different country, a lot of times people have the word cheap in their mind. And I would say living in Mexico, it is more affordable than the States, but it is not cheap. It's not like, well, from my experience, like you can just come here and expect to only have to circulate like, oh, can I come and live off of $1,000 a month or $1,500 a month? It's like you could, but I think most people would not be prepared to live the way they would have to live here to do that. We have certain creature comforts coming from the States, and if you want to live a certain quality of life, it's going to be more affordable, but it's not necessarily just going to be like dirt cheap. So when it comes to food, we do have like regular chain stores here. Some of the most popular in Mexico are Chedraui, Super Aquí, Soriana, and Bodega Herrera. And then we do have Walmart, Sam's, and Costco as well. And you have farmers markets like that you can go to get like really great produce and just get more affordable prices for stuff. You also have like your convenience stores like OXXO, your local tiendas, which are like the mom and pop shops just throughout the neighborhood. You have fruit stores. It's so many different types of shops that you can visit. Like in my neighborhood alone, I probably have like 4 or 5 shops I can just walk to for fruits, for vegetables, for spices. I have several convenience stores, several smaller grocery stores like Willie's that are in walking distance. And then I have the bigger chain stores that I would have to hop into a Didi or an Uber to get to. I feel like pricing in terms of grocery shopping for a lot of stuff, things are more affordable, but there are some things that actually cost more here. I'm plant-based, so a lot of what I eat is fresh fruits and vegetables. I don't eat a lot of processed foods, but if you want to buy like American brands, a lot of times that stuff is going to cost more here, okay? And I would say in 2025, it was a noticeable difference for me for the increase in pricing. You know, inflation exists everywhere. So even a lot of the restaurants I go to, it was a noticeable increase in pricing last year. But overall, I feel like your food budget would significantly decrease living here. Transportation is something else I want to talk about because it's something that I feel a lot of people may not take fully into consideration into their budget. And it's one of those things that can creep up on you. And it's one of those things that's more affordable here, but it's not necessarily cheap. So for example, that dog is just like, he wants to be a supporting character in this video. So for example, I can take a 20-minute Didi, because Didi is the main driving app I use. I use Uber sometimes, but I use Didi like 95% of the time because it's normally more affordable and the cars just come faster. But you also have InDriver, which is another driving app. You also have taxis, and then you have public transportation, which are either the bigger buses or these vans. And a lot of locals use the public transportation. Most people who move here from the States are using rideshare apps. So I can take a 20-minute Didi for about $4 to $5, right? You compare that to the States to where I've had to pay $50 before for a 20-minute ride from the airport. So you like, wow, only $5? That sounds cheap. But what if you're taking 4 to 5 rides every day? So as you guys saw in the clips that I shared, say I leave my house and go to the gym, that's one car. From the gym, I go get something to eat, that's another car. From the restaurant, I go to the grocery store, that's another car. From the grocery store back home, that's another car. So that's 4 rides in one day. So I could easily circulate $20 to $25. You multiply that by a week, by 7 days. And then for a month, it's equivalent to paying a car note if you are going to be taking multiple rides per day. So some people have actually found that renting a car is more affordable, especially if you have a family, because a lot of the cars in terms of Didi and Uber, they're very small cars. It's like a whole fleet of cars here that don't even exist in the States. Like, I ain't never seen a Chevrolet Beat in the States, but majority of the time when I call a Didi, it's a Chevrolet Beat or a Dodge Attitude or this other Suzuki that's real small. So if you have a bigger family, it's like your whole family can't fit in one car. You would have to literally call 2 cars or request a large car every time you go somewhere. It's up to you. Some people actually ship their cars here or they drive here in their cars. So you do have options, but it's just one of those things that you really want to take into consideration if you know you're going to be primarily using rideshare apps. When it comes to house goods, appliances, and electronics, that's something else that costs more here. And the quality is not the best. Like, it was damn near impossible for me to find some high thread count cotton sheets. Like, I could not find them anywhere. And what I did find, it was not giving the quality I desire, and it cost more. You can order from Amazon, but it is Amazon Mexico. So it's an entirely different portal, and prices for many things are a lot higher on Amazon Mexico. So you want to just keep that in mind as well. Now, some of the things that I feel are more affordable that make life easier and make your living experience better here are things like if you desire to hire a housekeeper, if you desire to have a chef. I know families here who they literally have a nanny, a chef. They can afford to have their children in private school, and it's way more affordable than in the States. You know, having a housekeeper come to clean my home is like a fraction of what it would be in the States. I don't have a washer and dryer. Many homes here do not have a washer and dryer. Many homes here also don't have ovens, y'all. Ovens, dishwashers, garbage disposals. Those are just, I've never seen a home with a garbage disposal or a dishwasher. Even going to some luxury condos, I've stayed in some luxury Airbnbs. I have never seen it. It's just not a normal thing. Bathtubs as well is not a normal thing. So more times than not, you're going to see a home that doesn't have those things. And back to washers and dryers. So I don't have a washer and dryer. So I use the lavanderia down the street where I drop my laundry off. She washes and folds it. I come back and pick it up a few days later. That's a really affordable way to wash your clothes. But you also have places where you can go wash your clothes yourself. I prefer the lavanderia. That's all I've ever used since I've been here. And it's nice, you know, just being able to outsource that. And I don't have to think about it. When it comes to like having my lawn serviced, it's very affordable. I've been using the same guy since I've been here. Very affordable. He does a great job. Also, things like healthcare, dental care, medication. This is why a lot of retirees move here, especially if they have things going on with their health and they, are going to need to see a doctor often and they have certain medications. Those things are way more affordable. For example, when I was still living in the States, I took my son to the dentist and I was quoted like over $10,000 for some things that he needed to get done. So when I moved here, like the first time he came here to visit while I was living here, we went to the dentist. And y'all, for one, the majority of what they said he needed to get done in the States, he didn't even need. And I was able to get everything done for him for less than $2,000. So a lot of people actually come to Mexico specifically for dental. Their dental care and healthcare is top tier. It's top tier. The chiropractor that I use, for example, I've been using him for years, since I've been here now for over 2 years. He comes to my house. Okay, you can either go to his office or he'll do a home visit. I do the home visits. He comes to my house. Included in getting a chiropractic adjustment, he's giving you a full body massage. He's doing cupping on your back and doing the adjustment, y'all. It's less than $40. Less than $40. I had a situation that happened in 2024. I was riding go-karts with my son and bent the corner riding go-karts too fast, and the side of my car hit the side of the track, and the way it hit, I like rammed into the side of the car a little bit, and I broke one of my ribs, and was able to find an orthopedist, message the orthopedist directly, get an appointment the same day, and everything that I needed to get done at that appointment was less than $100. So here, a doctor will give you their personal number. You can message the dentist and get a response immediately. And when you go, you're seen immediately. All that going and waiting for hours and hours, like, no. It's way more personable. It's way more intimate. And I really do appreciate that. So those are some really important things that are significantly more affordable here than in the States. So a few other things, cash is alive and well here, y'all. Like, in the States, you go to many places where you can't use cash. They only want cards. A lot of places are cashless. It's the opposite here. You want to always have pesos on you. A lot of places do take cards, but a lot of places don't. A lot of the mom and pop restaurants and stores and a lot of the markets that you go to, you're going to need pesos. So I just always make sure I have some pesos on me at all times. As in terms of like your phone service, I can only speak for Verizon, but I did not have to change anything. My plan is exactly as it was in the States. I didn't need an eSIM. I didn't have to do anything with changing my number. My plan is the same exact thing that it was when I was still in the States. When it comes to outlets, they do have standard outlets here, so you don't have to worry about like having one of those outlet converters. Now, something I'm not gonna say it's a problem, but it's definitely one of those things where you just gotta find your balance. Everything is not gonna be perfect here, and I really don't like to call it a compromise. It's just okay. It's not my favorite thing, but it's not a deal breaker, right? I don't like the word compromise. I ain't no compromising person. But for example, in my house, I know this is true for my house and for many people I know. Like, my water gets hot, but it does not stay hot long. So like, I cannot take a long extended hot shower, right? Like a 20, 30, 40 minute shower, it ain't happening. The water is going to go from hot, then it's going to get lukewarm, and then it's going to get cold. So I have had to learn how to get in and do what I need to do without thinking I'm finna, vibe out, listen to music while I shower. It's not happening. I've even stayed, because I like to do staycations, like getting like a nice Airbnb like in Central, which is the downtown area. I remember I had a real nice Airbnb one time, jacuzzi tubs, all of that. It's like the water does not stay hot long enough to fill this tub up. So that's the thing here, that the water does not stay hot. And as I said before, a lot of things you just don't find. It's not the norm. And bathtubs are one. So that's something that I do miss about like the home I was living in the States. I miss my baths. My spiritual baths were just a huge part of my lifestyle, but still not a deal breaker, okay? Something else is when it comes to like shopping and cooking, you're not gonna have access to the same spices as you would in the States. So you're not gonna go to the grocery store and find like Slap Your Mama. You're not gonna find even Old Bay, Tony Chachere's. A lot of the spices and seasonings that we're used to, it's a whole different demographic here. So you're just not gonna be able to find it. So this is the stuff you may want to bring with you, or when you go back to the States, a lot of people are bringing spices back. My last trip to the States, I came back with Slap Your Mama, Tony Chachere's, a Jamaican curry powder. I came back with my Louisiana hot sauce, just all kind of spices that you do not find access to. And it's things like that you don't realize you're going to miss, where it's like, damn, I do miss having access to my spices. And the same thing with products, like for your skin, for your hair. It's like you're just not going to find it. Like I can't walk into Walmart here like I can in the States and buy shea butter. It's like you not finding shea butter nowhere. So I had to make sure I came here with a lot of shea butter. Things like Black African soap. It's just like you're not going to find it. And on Amazon, the prices are just outrageous. You may pay 10 times more, sometimes more than 10 times more, ordering certain things from Amazon Mexico. So another thing is I don't really feel like it's a language barrier if you do not speak Spanish fluently. I'm not fluent in Spanish. I was taking lessons. I had a private tutor for quite a while, but I had something personal happen in my life and I took a break from my lessons and just did not start back. So that's one of my goals, to get locked back in on my Spanish lessons. But Google Translate is definitely going to be your BFF. Most people here do not speak English. However, many do, but the majority do not. And this is just not a place that is trying to go out of its way to accommodate you. You know, once you come here, it's up to you to learn the language. It's as simple as that. For me, I definitely can read Spanish and can comprehend it like better than I can speak it. So I can listen to a conversation. Somebody can ask me something. I know what they're saying, but I don't know how to respond back fully. So just using Google Translate for me, it has not been an issue at all. Give me one moment, y'all. So using Google Translate has not been an issue for me at all. Like the language it's like you can still be very comfortable here, but of course you at some point are going to want to take some Spanish lessons for sure. So something else that I think is important to know is that the time does not change here. They do not acknowledge daylight savings here. So if you are running a business or your job is based on Eastern Standard Time, that is going to tie into your schedule, because during the spring and summer, when time is springing forward in the States, it's a 2-hour time difference here. In the fall and winter, it's a 1-hour time difference. So like right now, I have to get up earlier to do what I got to do. And I don't love that, but it is what it is. Also, the sun rises and sets pretty early here all year. During the spring and summer, the sun is up at 5 o'clock. And it's going down around like 6:30. So, you know, in the States during the summer, it's still light outside like 8 o'clock. Here, no, it's going to be fully dark and that sun is going to be up. The birds are going to be chirping bright and early. During the winter and fall, sunrise is like around 6, but it's just up early and it sets early pretty much all year. As far as the weather, it does get extremely hot here, y'all, during the summer, spring and summer. Like between April and September is some of the hottest weather. I've never been anywhere this hot before. And I come from Georgia. I have spent summers in Vegas. I know what hot weather is, right? It has nothing on this. This is a level of hot that you just got to feel it to really feel the intensity of it. It is a weeder out for people. It's a weeder out. People literally will come here during the summer and decide like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to live here. This is too hot. Living here was my first time seeing people walk around with umbrellas, not for the rain, but for the sun. So during the summer, it's nothing to see people walking to the store down the street with umbrellas, blocking themselves from the sun. So it gets hot, y'all. I'm talking about being outside for 5 minutes and you are drenched, like sweat coming from every body part. So here, like I cannot bodycon dresses and stuff like that, baby, it be sweat everywhere. I can't do it. Everything I wear pretty much is real light and flowy because it is just too hot. It gets too hot. Now it does cool down starting around October. I think the weather is perfect, like November through February. That's when the weather is like chef's kiss. It is just like delicious. Something else is that Merida is a very pet-friendly place. I think it's very beautiful. And when I say pet-friendly, this is what I mean. Dogs and cats can roam free here. Okay? I have never seen roadkill. A person will literally stop their car and let a dog cross the street. A dog can literally chill in the middle of the street, or a cat, and nobody's going to run it over. They're going to wait and let that dog or cat get out of the street. And the dogs and cats are on a whole different vibration. They're very high vibrational too. They chill. They do not bother you. They don't even come up to you. I have seen like literally a pack of dogs, 5, 6 dogs. One time like 10 dogs. They're all just walking down the street minding their business. And a lot of businesses and even homes, they set out food and water to feed the cats and dogs. Especially in the summer months when it's really hot. You'll just go like to the OXXO gas station. They'll have bowls of water and bowls of food for the dogs and cats that just roam around. And some of these animals are strays, but some of them have owners, y'all. Some of these dogs, they get out and run the streets all day and they go back home at night. The same thing with a lot of the cats. So I actually have a cat who is my unofficial pet. I named her Kit Kat, but she showed up at my door one day last summer and we have been locked in ever since. And I have not made her an official pet in terms of like bringing her fully into my home because she's a free spirit, and that's it. I like the connection and bond that we have as we have it. She comes, I feed her 3 times a day. She'll come hang out with me, spend time with me in the backyard, come get some little lap time with me, and then she will let me know when she's ready to leave. It's like she's not a house cat. She's a free spirit, and she likes to roam freely, and I don't want to take that away from her. A lot of people here adopt pets in that way, where they feed them, they give them water, and it just is what it is. So something else that I think is important to know is that Merida is like, you're in the jungle still. This is a tropical climate, although we're in a city. So when it comes to like critters, there are certain critters who are going to get into your home and there's nothing that you can do about it. And for me, in my experience, is geckos. I'm going to see a gecko in my house some point pretty much every single day. And there's nothing you can do about them. They are harmless. I remember when I first moved here, I kept hearing this kissing noise. And I'm like, what is that? And my neighbor, my neighbor's the best ever. I'm not going to even lie. The best ever. And a lot of people, if you're ever wondering like what the people here are like, because you get a lot of talk about, you know, are people racist? Are they this or are they that? For me, I have never had no type of negative experience with the locals here. It has been nothing but love since I have been here. Like on a level to where it has brought tears to my eyes. Just how much love I have been greeted with. The way in which I have had complete strangers go above and beyond to help me. It is just like, wow. Like, wow. So, yeah, my neighbor's amazing. But my neighbor was like, oh, there's nothing you can do. They're going to be in your house. They don't bother you and they eat bugs. So, you know, it's a win-win. But they're lightning fast. You can't catch them. You can't stop them. As soon as you open the door, one might just dart into your house. In my house, they normally stay high up in the corners. They don't bother me, and it just is what it is. I have never had any problems with anything else. Like, you know, in the summertime, sometimes these little tiny ants do appear. And a lot of people, we talk about the tiny ants because they're the smallest ants I've ever seen in my life. And during the summer, but it's not to where it's like a problem for me. But if you live further outside of the city center, it's not uncommon to see scorpions, to see tarantulas. It's a jungle environment, y'all. Like, it's a beach club that I go to that's about an hour and a half away, and you see signs for jaguars. Like, it's so if you're real like scared of bugs and things like that, just something to take into consideration. I don't feel like it's a deal breaker, in my opinion. I've seen some of everything since I've been here. I have literally spent the night outside in the jungle, like during plant medicine ceremonies. So So I have seen tarantulas, I have seen scorpions, big, huge iguanas. Like, I mean, huge ones. I've seen some of everything. Snakes, it's just like, it is what it is. Living here, I have definitely learned to have a higher level of respect for all things in nature. And I'm really just not scared of bugs or critters at all at this point in my life. Like, living here has definitely helped me with that too. So something else that's funny that I want to mention is how we talk about black people time in our culture. Y'all, black people time ain't got nothing on Medida time. Baby, things get done when they're going to get done. And when I say that, I'm speaking from like a maintenance type of perspective. Like, I remember it took 3 weeks one time for the maintenance guy to come and repair something at my house. And he was not pressed. It wasn't he ain't finna call, he not finna check in. It's like, I will get there when I get there. The people here, they work hard, but they relax and they enjoy family as well. So if it's somebody's mama, grandmother, if it's a birthday party or any type of celebration, they not coming. That thing is not gonna get fixed that day. They will be there when they get there. And they gonna arrive when they want to. It's just as simple as that. But I kind of love that about the culture. Also here, they don't play about grandmothers here. Like, grandmothers are held to the highest standard here. And I think that's a part of why the vibration here is so high. Also, this is a very spiritual place. You go out, you see altars everywhere. In public, at businesses, at restaurants. Many people have altars in their homes. They're very connected with their ancestors here. It's also a high level of connection to the cosmos. It's just real spiritual, and many things are just honored and respected here, like plant medicine. And that's a part of why I know my spirit led me here, for sure. I'll probably get into my plant medicine experiences, at some other time on this channel. But yeah, very high vibrational, very spiritual. Hold on, y'all, let me grab a sip of water real quick. So yeah, very spiritual, very high vibrational. Something else that I think is important to touch on is dating, because people be curious. Of course, you living in a different country. What is it like? What's the dating scene like? Truth be told, y'all, prior to moving here, I was just like, dating was like not a priority for me at all. Like, I was more so focused on like cultivating an unconditionally loving relationship with myself. Living here was my first time ever in life living alone. So I was like, I'm really just trying to tap in with self. I wasn't really thinking about dating or what the vibe was going to be like. Was something that did not even cross my mind in terms of me deciding to move here. As I told y'all before, I was following my intuition. But being here, of course, you're going to peep what's going on. So I will say this: if you are a black woman and you desire to date a black man, a melanated man, I use those terms interchangeably, by the way. This is very much a bring your sand to the beach type situation. There is not going to be an abundance of single black men for you to pull from. The majority of the black men I know here personally, they are here with their wives, with their significant other, with their family. I have met a few. Who is this outside my door? I have met a few single black men here. Some were from the States and some are from other countries, because you have people that are also moving here from Africa and other parts of Central America. People are moving here from all over the world. So yes, you will come across some single black men, but it's not like you just gonna walk outside and it's gonna be in abundance. If you are open to dating outside of your race, if you're open to dating other cultures, I mean, that's what's here. So if you're open to dating the locals, I do feel like you will not have a problem. If that's your cup of tea, they're very interested. That's what I will say. And they are not shy about it at all. They love the melanin. They love it. And they're not shy about letting you know that, or about approaching you and, letting you know that they're interested. So, for me, dating is it's not something I've taken part in since I've been here, but that's just what I have noticed about everything. But I feel like this, when it comes to, I'm not really interested in dating, truth be told. Like, that's just not my thing. I'm at a point in my life where it's like, we rocking or we not. I'm not trying to actively go out on dates like that, But there are options for you if you are thinking about that. If that's something that you're taking into consideration as it pertains to you moving. For me, I just feel like what's meant to happen is going to happen, and geographic location doesn't matter. Whoever I'm meant to vibe with, we gonna connect. Who knows how it's gonna happen? So I just feel like it's something that's not ever gonna. I'm never gonna take that into consideration in terms of me relocating somewhere, because if we supposed to bump into each other, we're gonna bump into each other one way or another. So that's pretty much, you know, some of the things that I feel are very important for you to know. Overall, it has been a beautiful experience with me living here. Everything has just flowed, it has just been such a divine flow, and it was a very divine transition for me. I do feel like Mexico is a very soft place for you to start your journey with living outside of the United States. And I don't know if this is going to be my end all be all, but I do feel like it's a very comfortable place for you to start, because many of the things that you are used to, you can have access to. It's available for you. You know, there are shopping plazas and malls and movie theaters and, you know, restaurants that you are familiar with. That type of stuff is what I mean. A lot of the brands you're familiar with, that's the kind of thing that I mean. But you're also still able to experience a totally different culture and way of life, to where it is nothing like living in the States, right? So I did tell you guys earlier that there was something that surprised me that I did not foresee before moving here, something that I did not predict, and that was that Mexico was going to be my healing sanctuary, and that my soul led me here because I needed to be somewhere very safe, very peaceful, and very high vibrational to do the level of inner work that I needed to do in order for me to continue to ascend on my journey. And what I will say is that as beautiful and as divine as my experience living here has been, I have also gone through some of the darkest, hardest, and most painful times of my life. My spirit led me here to do some very deep ancestral healing, to do some very deep inner child healing, to literally dig up the roots and get to the root of many things that we consider generational curses. I have had to get down into the basement of my soul with shadow work here. I have been in some of the most intense darkness within myself here, and I had to grow through all of this so that I could fully remember who I am from a cosmic perspective as an infinite being. And so that's something that I'll probably just do a follow-up video on, because this video is already long. So I'll definitely do another video and just go into depth about that, about the other side of what my experience living here has been like. But I do want to say thank you for watching, especially if you have watched to the very end. Thank you so much for just taking time out of your life to experience life through my lens, to, you know, get some insight as to what my experience living here in Mérida, Mexico has been like. If you have enjoyed your time here, please subscribe, like, share, comment, do all of those great things. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next video.